Alright guys, welcome back to the Salamangreat combo guide. We have now Salamangreat at full power of every card that we need. The new Salamangreat of Fire, the new Code of Soul, which just came out in the TCG. We got it, we got the full support power here, and I will show you how to play the deck. I will show you 3 1-card combos with different 1-card combo starters, and then a 2-card combo, and then I will also show you a deck list in the end, or different deck lists, because there are different ways that you can play this deck. Cheaper ones, more expensive ones, better ones, worse ones you could say, but it also depends. I will show you these combos, which are very long, some of them, and I also have them written down on a little sheet on my second monitor, so don't be confused when I sometimes look over there. But I think if you understand what all of the cards want to do in the combos, then you will also be able to take every other 2-card combo, because obviously there can be multiple 2-card combos, and I can't go over every one of them because it would be a 2-hour video, and I don't think anyone needs so much combos. But the most important 1-card combos are the most important ones to understand, because if you understand the 1-card combos, then you can continue from there. The first thing we are going to show you is the 1-card combo Salamangreat of Fire, which can now, because it's normal summoned, search a level for our lower Salamangreat monster. We are going to grab the Gazelle, which is what you always want in your hand, because if another Salamangreat monster goes to the graveyard, it can be special summoned and then also dump something to the grave, which is another body that we can special summon. We are going to go Link 1 in our Bailings, a very cool card here. Then Bailings can now activate its effect to search the field spell, and we can also chain the Gazelle, because the off Fire went to the graveyard. The Gazelle can now be special summoned to the field, which is obviously nice. By the way, if you want to interrupt a Salamangreat, it always makes sense to remove their body from the field, because if they have used their normal summon for a Salamangreat body, then it can be quite hard for them to get another body on the field if they don't have a Link monster or another Salamangreat body. So removing the first Salamangreat normal summon body can sometimes be enough to just end the game, just to say it here. We activate the Gazelle now, because she's normal or special summon. She can send another Salamangreat to the grave. Sometimes you send a Jaguar. In this case, we send the Spinny, because we control a Salamangreat monster. We can just special summon the Spinny, which is what we are going to do next here. The next thing we are going to want to do, I quickly have to check, we are going to make, because we have 2 level 3 bodies, the Migrastalio and the Horse Prince, which we will see in a moment. Those are 2 bodies from the extra deck that you normally always want to go through. We can now detach 1 card to special summon a Salamangreat from our deck to the field. Does not really matter which one you detach, because this will go to the grave, hence it will also dump the other material to the grave. We will summon the Weasel, which will be important later on. Now we have 3 bodies, and we can go into Promethean Princess. Obviously, if your opponent has an Ash in the grave, you can make it even easier if you just go for a Heater and revive the Ash, and then go into your Promethean Princess. We are now going to revive, doesn't really matter, let's take the Migrastalio here, and now we will use our Sanctuary. Not the Weasel now, but the Weasel later. Activate Sanctuary, which now will allow us to link a Salamangreat monster with basically itself as the entire material, but only once per turn. Keep this in mind. The Code of Soul, one of the new cards we will see in a moment, can also do this, and this will be very important. So we first need to do this for the Raging Phoenix, which has one of the coolest animations in the entire game. This is a Link 4, and now we can, because of the Sanctuary, don't activate this now, we can, because of the Sanctuary, just link summon another Raging Phoenix, and then Raging Phoenix effect will activate. Because it was link summoned with itself, we can search a Salamangreat, spell or trap, which we desperately need to continue, because remember, we basically don't have any cards in our hand anymore. What we're going to search is the will of the Salamangreat. We have it in hand already, so in this case we are going to search the counter trap. You always want the counter trap or the other trap that you can play but don't have to play. We will talk about this come the deck list. We have searched the will of the Salamangreat here, not the trap. Remember, we are going to activate will now, and the cool thing is that we now can activate the will. You could also, during your main phase, special summon 1 Salat monster from your hand or graveyard, but we will point to this Link 4 here. Then this will go to the grave, and we can summon 4 bodies, because this is a Link 4, from our grave to the field, because this is a Link monster that was made with itself as material. We can summon Salamangreat monsters up to the number of Link rating this card has. Now we are going to make the Horse Prince, which you always have to do with the Weasel, because the Weasel is a tuner, so this is very important. This is where you need your Weasel for, so don't waste your Weasel in other combo lines. If you're not quite sure how to do it, don't waste your Weasel, because Weasel is the only tuner that you can use for this guy here. So if you want to make Migrastalio, then if you can, don't use the Weasel, or just make sure that you can re-access the Weasel. This thing now fire locks us, Oh no, it special summons level 5 or higher monster. This card you cannot special summon. It special summon level 5 or higher monster locks us basically. What you can do in other combo lines, and we will see this, is take the Ash Blossom, summon it to the field, and then get it to the graveyard, and then you can re-add it with one of your other Salamangreat cards. In this case, we need the new card that is just released in the TCG, Code of Soul. We can now activate Code of Soul's lingering effect, and this is basically the same effect as is the Salamangreat Sanctuaries effect. We now can, once again, for the second time this time basically, link summon a Salamangreat monster with only itself as material, and we will need to use this in a moment here. Now I have to quickly check because there is a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, we are going to make a Sprite Sprint now. Now it becomes a bit crazy. Using, I quickly have to check so I don't tell you something wrong. We will use these two bodies here. I don't think it really matters. We are making a Sprite Sprint, which obviously allows us to send now level 2 a monster from our deck to the graveyard. We are going to send the EMP Meow Mine, which we don't need for this combo, but we can quickly read her. The thing why we want to have her in the graveyard is if a Link 2 monster you control is sent to the graveyard or banished face up, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard or hand, depending on if there was, if it was there when the monster was sent or banished, or hand even if not. So if you would add it to the hand later on, then you could also use it from the hand, but you can also use it from the grave. Then target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So we have now basically dumped one interruption into our graveyard that we can use to bounce something. It's also a card, not only a monster, which is always better than just being able to bounce a card. Then we are going to make a Sunlight Wolf with the Raging Phoenix and the Code of Soul here. Sunlight Wolf also a monster that we can relink with itself to add something back to our hand, but we will see this in a moment. We will activate the Weasel now. If you're not aware what Weasel does, we will summon one of these bodies to our opponent's fields. Does not really matter. Let's take the Migra Stalio, and then Weasel goes to the bottom of the deck and we draw an additional card, which is obviously quite nice. Now our Promethean Princess is activating because a monster was special summoned to our opponent's field. We are now going to destroy Sprite Sprint and the Migra Stalio here, and can resummon the Princess, which is obviously nice. She's a level 3 Link body, which will help us climb up. We can activate one of our Raging Phoenixes because a face-up fire monster we control was destroyed, the Sprite Sprint. We can resummon the guy, and it also gains attack of the destroyed monster, which is not that important, but we can still use it. We could, for example, if we would have an XYZ, also use this other effect here, but yeah, this is not something we need to do right now. Is it mandatory? I don't know. We can just okay. Sorry, this is the Raging Phoenix effect. Still, we needed to choose the monster because now it gets the attack points of the Sprite Sprint. I was a bit confused there for a moment. Okay. We are going to relink the Sunlight Wolf here. Going to relink the Sunlight Wolf now with itself. We know Code of Soul's effect that we've activated before to do the relink thing here, and the cool thing now is that we can re-add one of the cards to the hand. We are going to add the Will of the Salamangreat back to the hand. This is just for follow-up for the next turn. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to make Pyro. Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix with the Spinny and also the Promethean Princess here. Going to place it under the Sunlight Wolf here, and now also Sunlight Wolf's effect will trigger and re-add one of our fire monsters to the hand. This is the point at which, if you would have an Ash in the grave, you can now choose the Ash to be re-added. We can now basically choose to either bring back one of our extra bodies or extra monster bodies into the deck. Don't choose the Promethean Princess. She's also a disruption. In this case, we go for the Salamangreat of Fire. So we have the Will and the Zalad of Fire for follow-up. And this is basically what we will pass on. Obviously, we have the Roar here that you also want to set, but this is not there in the normal combo. You want to set everything that you have here. And what you now have on your opponent's turn, you firstly have the Promethean Princess that can, if our opponent special summons a monster, destroy it and destroy one of ours, which, by the way, we can protect with our Bailings. If you're not aware, if a Salamangreat card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from a graveyard instead to protect it. So we could, for example, target our, I don't know, Pyro Phoenix and another monster of our opponents to be destroyed, and then protect our Pyro Phoenix if we wanted to. We can also save this interruption. It depends. Then we also have, and this is the most important one, the Code of Soul, which the guy says during your opponent's main phase, keep this in mind, quick effect, you can banish this card from a graveyard immediately after this effect resolves, link summon one, link 3 or higher Cybers Link monster. So we still have have the Salamangreat Sanctuary on the field on our opponent's turn, we can once again use this to link a Salamangreat monster with itself as the entire material, and we have another Pyro Phoenix in our extra deck. So we can at any point activate this guy quick effect and then make another Pyro Phoenix with our already existing Pyro Phoenix. And we are doing this because if this card is linked summoned using Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix itself as material, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. So we have an entire board wipe here. And then also, because we will summon this under the Sunlight Wolf if the Sunlight Wolf is still there, we also have the opportunity to once again activate Sunlight Wolf and grab another fire monster back to our hand. Keep in mind that we also have the EMP Meow Mine that we can activate, which is why we dumped her to the graveyard if a link 2 monster you control is sent to the graveyard or banished. So if, for example, we destroy our own Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf with the princess here, then we will also be able to activate the EMP Meow Mine, which is obviously very, very strong. And then if something gets destroyed, one of our bodies, for example, the Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, we destroyed with our princess, for example, then we will also be able to resummon the Salamangreat Raging Phoenix to our field because a fire monster was destroyed on our field, giving us an additional body for follow-up and also a body to kill our opponent more easily on the next turn. This is the 1-card combo that you can do with Salamangreat of Fire, and now we will hop over to the next 1-card combo. So the next 1-card combo I'm going to show you is the Lady Debug combo. She, if this card is normal or special summon, can add 1 level 3 or lower Cybers monster from your deck to your hand. You know what we are adding here. We have the Gazelle already, but we are just pretending we didn't have the Gazelle, so we're adding the Gazelle. Now the only thing that we actually can do here is make the Bailings. So we're going to make the Bailings and now search for the field spell. This time around the difference is that we have not used the Salamangreat monster to make the Bailings, which means that our Gazelle is not live because a Salamangreat monster wasn't sent to the graveyard, which means that at this point we will need to use another Bailings to be summoned with the Bailings, because then the Bailings goes to the graveyard and it is a Salamangreat card, and now we can summon the Gazelle, which means we needed to use this one quite early in our combo. Normally we don't want to do it like this, but we have to in this 1-card combo. Activate Gazelle, send the Spinny, you know the drill, and then we can just go Spinny and resummon the guy here. The next thing we are going to do, I have to quickly check. We are going to make the Cybers Wicked here, which is not something that we needed in the other combo, but you will need it here, and you also need a third Bailings. Now I will use my third Bailings here because I need to summon something in the Cybers Wicked zone in order for her to trigger. If you're not aware, if a Cybers monster, you can quickly read her. If a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to where you control this monster, you can banish 1 Cybers monster from your graveyard, add 1 Cybers tuner from your deck to your hand. Go ahead and banish the Debug. This is very useless, and then we are going to act the only one that we have, the Weasel, which if there are 2 Salamangreat at least in the graveyard, we can special summon the Weasel. This is quite nice and obviously something that we want to do. Next thing we are going to do is make Promethean Princess, because we need another level 3 body in order to go into our Horse Prince. So we are summoning the Princess, activating the Princess to resummon back the Gazelle, the other level 3 body here. And once again, as I already said, if you have this combination, so the Weasel and another level 3 body, keep in mind that you could make a Migrastalio, but it's always, or not always, but it might be more nice to just use the brother guy here because he needs a tuner, and Migrastalio can be made with any 3-level 3 monsters. So we could now once again search the Ash, get it through wave, and re-add it with the Sunlight Wolf, but we need Code of Soul, because remember, we have already used up the Salamangreat Sanctuary's effect to re-link summon, but we need to do it once again. So we're activating Code of Soul, so we can now do it once again. And now we are going to our Raging Phoenix. Raging Phoenix is always very important because this guy can just search when we relink him with itself, can search something back, which is quite nice. At this point, you don't want to activate the Weasel, because now we will just going to relink in order to search something from the deck. We have now used up the Code of Souls effect to relink. We are going to activate the search effect, and then we also want to activate the Weasel right now. Weasel once again will summon something to the field, and then we are going to be able to put something on the bottom of the deck and draw a card. So we are going to put this here and draw a card. This can now add the counter trap to our hand. And next thing we are going to be able to do is activate the Princess. We are targeting our Code of Soul and the Bailings here to resummon the Princess. And because a monster on our field fire was destroyed by card effect or battle, we can now activate Raging Phoenix to also resummon himself. We are going to target Code of Soul, resummon the guy, back to the field. So now we have a link 3 and a link 4 or link 1, depending on how you want to call this. So we can go ahead and make the Pyro Phoenix here, which is obviously, you know this from the last combo, our monster that can destroy the entire field. You know, we have the Code of Soul in the grave. Now we're going to set the Salamangreat Roar, and this is the end. So we have the Salamangreat Roar to Omni-negate if we want to. We have the Pyro Phoenix to be resummoned with the Code of Soul, and then we also have the Promethean Princess in the grave and another Raging Phoenix that can be resummoned. Also, we have the protection effect from the Bailings. Obviously, this is a bit worse because in the other combo we also have the Sunlight Wolf, which adds us a lot of follow-up, but we don't have the Roar, but we have the EMP Meow Mine, so you can argue which one is better, but this is the one-card combo using Lady Debug. Okay, let's look at the 2-card combo that you will face some time because you have 3 Gazelle and 3 Debug. This can happen a lot, so it is a Gazelle and a Debug 2-card combo. We are going to start with the Debug. The cool thing is that we can now search something else because we have the Gazelle already, which is our prime target. We can now search the Code of Soul, which will open up another window that we will see in a moment that I always talked about, but we never were able to do, but we will be able to do it in this combo. Now, the only thing that we can do, you saw it in the hand, is make the Bailings, search the field spell, you know the drill. This is a thing that's pretty easy about Salamangreat. The hand basically shows you what you can do. We can now special summon, why? Because we control a Link monster, special summon the Code of Soul, activate its effect, you know the effect already, to re-link summon something that's nice. We are now going to go once again in a Cyber's Wicked, we need her. Also, so that the Bailings goes to the graveyard and the Gazelle can trigger. Tough with these names. I'm going to summon her in this zone. We can now go Cyber's Wicked, going to banish the Debug because we don't need her, and also activate the Gazelle. You know the drill. We are dumping the Spinny. Keep in mind that sometimes you can also dump Jack Jaguar. We will see Jack Jaguar in action in a moment here in this combo, but dump the Weasel at this point. Then we are going to grab, the Spinny. We are going to grab the Weasel, and now we can go Spinny here, resummon the Spinny back to the field. And the next thing we are going to do is make the Migras Stalio, the good old horsey, which can now activate to summon another Salamangreat monster to our field. We are going, in this case, summon the Jack Jaguar. Now I have to quickly check because those lines are quite intense. We are going to make Cyber's Wicked and the Jack Jaguar here into the Promethean Princess. We've used one of our level 3 boys, so the Salamangreat Migras Stalio. So we also now want to use the Brotherhood guy. So we're going to revive one of our level 3 bodies. Here in this case, doesn't really matter. We can just take the Gazelle because we can, with the Salamangreat Weasel, special summon it from the hand because we have 2 Salamangreat bodies in the grave. Next thing we are going to make is the Brotherhood guy. We can place him here, and then also in this combo it's a good habit to keep this zone under the Link monster free. In this case you don't need it, but we will need it later on. We are now going, because we already have the Code of Soul, remember this was something we always searched with this, we are now going to summon an Ash. We already have an Ash in hand, but let's just imagine there would not be an Ash. This would make more sense, right? We are going with the Prince and the Princess, pretty easy to remember, honestly. We are going to go into a Raging Phoenix here, and we have activated Code of Soul once already. Don't activate Weasel here. So we can now Raging Phoenix into Raging Phoenix to search out the counter trap. Once again, don't activate it here. We will activate it in a moment. Search the counter trap. Obviously, if you already have the counter trap, you might also be able to grab something else, follow up, or the other trap if you are choosing to play it. Now we are going to get the Ash into the grave because we want to re-add it to our hand, making a Sunlight Wolf, which means that we will need the Sanctuary in a moment. Here we are going to activate the Weasel now, keep this zone free, the Sunlight Wolf zone, that is. That's very important. Summon the Gazelle, I don't know, it's not that important. One thing that you have to keep in mind, I will mention this at this point, the Weasel you always want to activate if you can, if you have at least a Raging Phoenix and the Promethean Princess in the grave. And this is also very important for the kill combo. I will talk about this in the deck list more, because you want the Weasel to summon something to the opponent's field, then you want the Promethean to pop it, which means Promethean can be special summoned, which also means the Raging Phoenix can be special summoned, and that means a lot of damage to your side. We can quickly count this in a moment, because now we are going Princess here, targeting Migras Stalio, and then the Gazelle here. We don't want to protect the Migras Stalio. You could protect the Migrastadio if you wanted to kill your opponent, then you have 2000 attack more, which obviously makes sense. For this combo line, we are going first, it doesn't make any sense. We are going to resummon the Raging Phoenix targeting Migrastadio so it gets the attack of the boy. And as you can see right here, we have a lot of attack points already on the board, and keep in mind we already also have destroyed something. Obviously in other fire decks, in the Snake Eye deck for example, you have the Zealantis, which is very strong in finishing the game. Unfortunately, we cannot use this at this moment. What we are going to do next is we are going to make the Sanctuary, and now we are re-linking the Sunlight Wolf with another Sunlight Wolf so we can grab back the Ash from the graveyard to our hand. Obviously, we have the Ash already, so in this case, we would add back follow-up. Now we can activate Jack Jaguar. If you control a Salamangreat Link monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can target one Salat monster in your graveyard, except this one, back to the deck, and then special summon this. This is why we need this zone here, right? You can now place back your Raging Phoenix into the deck, which is one reason why you don't need to play 3 Raging Phoenixes if you want to go a bit more budget, but I will talk about this in a moment. Re-add the Ash, or whatever you want to add. If you already have an Ash, or a follow-up, you could also add follow-up if you wanted to, I don't know, the Gazelle, for example, and then we are going to make basically the last thing. I think by at this point you should be aware of what we want to achieve with this board. So what you always want to achieve is a Pyro Phoenix in the end. You want a Bailings in the graveyard for protection. You want the Code of Soul in the graveyard to make the Pyro Phoenix blast the entire board up. You optimally want the Counter Trap, and then if you can, you want a Sunlight Wolf to add follow-up to the hand. You want the Promethean Princess in the grave, and then if possible also a Raging Phoenix, because in this specific combo here we would not be able to resummon Raging Phoenix, though it's also not that important because the Raging Phoenix in itself, it's not an interruption, it's just a bonus body, so that's not really a problem here. So what we have right now is the Ash that we have searched and added to our hand, we have the Raw Counter Trap, we have the Pyro Phoenix blast up the entire board, we have a re-add with the Sunlight Wolf, we have the Promethean Princess, and we have protection of our cards with the Bailing. So the re-summon of the Pyro Phoenix is obviously done with the Code of Soul, so that's also something to keep in mind if you play against Salamangreat, just called by the Code of Soul, and that's very hard for this deck because one of the main interruptions is gone then. This is the one-card combo using the Salamangreat Gazelle and how is the guy called? The Lady Debug. We are now going to go over into the deck profile where we'll also talk about the kill strategy, and we'll show you the different cards that you can play in the deck depending on whether you want a budget deck or a more expensive and in my opinion a bit better deck. Okay guys, let's talk deck list now. The first thing I want to address is the kill combo, right? I've spoken about this before in the other combo, but what you want to do to be able to achieve the kill combo, what you normally would need to do is get a Raging Phoenix and the Promethean Princess into the grave. So you want to basically do the 1-card combo I showed you here, or the 2-card combo. You want to get them to the point that you have a Raging Phoenix and the Promethean Princess in the grave. What's also very important to achieve the kill, I mean, it depends on the situation, right? Maybe your opponent only has 4,000 life points left and you have 5,000 attack already on the field, then obviously you don't need to bother here, but you need the Weasel in the grave, right? Because the Weasel is the one card that can resummon a monster to your opponent's field, thereby getting you back the Princess with 2/7 attack. The Princess also destroys something, which normally will be the thing that you have resummoned, and then you also get the Raging Phoenix back with a buff on the attack points. And this should normally be enough to kill your opponent or put him to very low life points. This is what you want to do. This is the optimal way that you can do in order to kill your opponent. And as I already talked about in the 2-card combo, for example, in the 2-card combo, if you want to kill your opponent, you would then, for example, protect the Salamangreat Migrastadio, which we have destroyed with our Princess, because you can protect her with the Bailings, just to have the 2,000 attack body on the field. And with the Princess, so let's just say we have this 1-card, this 2-card combo, and we want to kill our opponent. With a Princess, for example, we would have 2,700 attack, this 2,000, so 4,700, and this would already be, would be close to game, but keep in mind that you will also get the attack boost from whatever the Raging Phoenix has destroyed. In this specific case, by the way, if you don't destroy the Migrastadio, oh no, you destroy the Migrastadio with the Promethean Princess, sorry. So with these 3 bodies, it would already be enough, but obviously, because you have done something before, the Sunlight Wolf will also be there, so you will have more bodies that will give you some attack boost. Obviously, you could also go for something like re-linking the Pyro Phoenix, just to blow up the entire opponent's board, and this also has 2/8 attack. Keep that in mind. That is definitely not a bad amount of attack. So there are multiple ways to get a lot of attack on the field. There is not this crazy OTK line that you have, for example, in Snake Eyes with the Zealantis. This has to be said, but Nevertheless, you can definitely OTK your opponent. So let's talk about the different variations that you can play this deck with. I think engine-wise, this is something that you should go for. The EMP Meow Mine, you don't really need to play. You should play it if you are going to play like a lot of Salamangreat of Fire, right? This is obviously a choke point. This is an ultra rare. In my opinion, as you have also seen, the Salamangreat of Fire is the best one-card combo starter for this deck. I think if you want to play 3 Salamangreat of Fire, you'd also play the EMP Meow Mine, and then keep in mind to use the EMP Meow Mine, you would also add a Sprite Sprint to the extra deck, which you don't need if you are, for example, only playing one Salamangreat of Fire. You also don't need to play a single one if you don't want to. If you want to be really cheap, then you could only go for this Code of Soul, and then you just put in the 3 Lady Debugs, right? Because I have shown you this is also a one-card combo, but the one-card combo Salamangreat of Fire is stronger. So in an optimal version, you would want more Salamangreats of Fire, and then you would cut down on, for example, the Lady Debugs, just to have not too many normal summons. If you want more consistency, you could also, if you want to do it, cut out on some of the hand traps, because you can see we have quite a big non-engine part here, and then you could put in more of the Lady Debugs once again. This is a bit, you have to test this a bit, and you have to play it like you in optimal world want to play it. Talking about the Salamangreat traps here, you can also choose to play the other very strong Salamangreat trap, the Salamangreat War, because activate one of these effects, target one Salamangreat link monster you control that was linked summoned using a monster with its same name as material, destroy cards your opponent controls up to that monster's link rating. And normally in most combos you have seen this, you will have a Raging Phoenix on the end board, which was made with another Raging Phoenix. So you can, for example, use the Rage to destroy 4 cards on your opponent's field. This is obviously very amazing if you can blow up your entire opponent's board with the Pyro Phoenix once, and then also use this to destroy more cards on your opponent's field. But if you ask me, if I could choose whether I get this or this, because keep in mind, you can only search once with your Pyro Phoenix. So Pyro Phoenix sometimes need to get you the Salamangreat Will, which we have seen already. But in the case that you don't need the Will, you can obviously also search the Roar or the Rage. But keep in mind that you can only search one of these. So putting both of them in, you basically need to then hard draw one of them to be able to use both, right? And if you ask me if I could choose between one of them, I would guess I would take the Roar, because this is an Omni Negate and we already have a destruction effect that destroys the entire board. I think it's very unlikely that once you have destroyed the entire board, your opponent will once again be able to put 4 cards on the board that you can then destroy once again. I think an Omni Negate will be better. This can stop an Evening Match, this can stop a triple Tactic Talents that can search for follow-up or take your guys or something. This could, for example, also stop a Called By that can call by the Pyro Phoenix away, or the Code of Soul, you should say. So in my opinion, I would go for the Salamangreat Roar, but you can also, if you just want to say, okay, I sometimes just want to hard draw this card, you could also do this. Remember that if you get interrupted and you end up on a Sunlight Wolf, then this can also destroy 2 cards, which is definitely not bad, but not like the greatest thing in the world, obviously. So if you play the Lady Debug version here with less Salamangreat of Fire or with none Salamangreat of Fire, then you don't really need to play the EMP Mine if you don't want to, and then you don't need to play the Sprite Sprint. For the Lady Debug variant, you will need the Cyber's Wicked. If you go for more Salamangreat of Fire and less Lady Debug, you can also put this away. But I guess if you go for at least one Lady Debug, you need the Cyber's Wicked, because you have seen this in a lot of lines, right? And then also the 3 Bailings is something that you will need to use in the Lady Debug line. So at the moment you put Lady Debugs in here, you will need 3 Salamangreat Bailingses. Okay, keep that in mind. Now concerning the amount of Raging Phoenixes. So you need 2 Pyro Phoenixes, obviously, because you need to relink the guy, and you need at least 2 Raging Phoenixes because you need to relink the guy. This is one of the best cards in the entire deck, but you have seen that we can also replace it with itself in the 2-card combo with the Lady Debug and the Gazelle. So in my opinion, even though 3 is better, you don't need 3. If you really want to go low budget, then go 2 and 2, but you need 2 and 2. And then you need at least 1 Code of Soul. I don't think that you need more Code of Souls. And then talking about Salamangreat of Fire, this you can play at a 0 if you want to go higher on the Lady Debugs, but you can also, if you want to optimize this build, go for the best version that is available. You should definitely play this at 3. This is then the best normal summon that you can use. You have seen the combo, so that is that. Talking about another thing that you in theory could do, and I've checked this out, but then came to the conclusion that this is bad, honestly, or not that great. You can also play this Takatomborg and Speedroid package, where you would go triple Speedroid and then Takatomborg. If you're not aware, this thing here can search this thing, and both of them can be special summoned. If you control the monsters, you can special summon this, and this says if you control a wind monster, you can special summon this. This is a wind monster. So you have this 3 level 3 body bodies, which you have 3 of them in here. They can search this guy, and then you can just go into a Migrastalio. The problem is, in order for this to be a proper line, you will also need another Salamangreat monster to discard, and if you want to play it like this, you will also need to play at least a Foxy, because Foxy is very important here. Otherwise, you don't need a Foxy, which I would also say you should not play, because Foxy is not that great. Foxy is also basically a normal summon. When this card is normal summoned, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you do, can add 1 excavated Salamangreat card to your hand, also shuffle the rest. So if you special summon this guy, it can't even use its effect. It's not a very great normal summon. You have way better ones, so I don't like the Foxy, but you need to play the Foxy if you play it like this, which is why I don't think this is very great. You also will need another card that you can normal summon. So for example, the Salamangreat of Fire that can then search you a Gazelle in order for everything to work properly. So if you ask me, this is really a bad line and I would not go for this. The line with the Lady Debug and the Salamangreat of Fire is way better. So the main question that you have to ask yourself is, do you want to invest in Salamangreat of Fire and play the most optimal version, or do you want to go a bit cheaper and then just go ahead and play the Lady Debug version? This is something that you have to think about if you want to play this deck. And then again, I think engine-wise, this is enough. You don't need like 3 spinnies, you don't need more weasels, you don't need more Code of Souls. You could play another one if you want to, but you don't need to. Don't need multiple Jaguars, just need the Gazelles, and if you can, the off fires, and then yeah, Salamangreat Circle is basically every other Salamangreat card. That's nice. The ratios are otherwise as they are here. They make sense. The pot makes sense in my opinion. You could go Pot of Extravagance. No, it doesn't really work. You want the 2 Silent Minis because this can get you to any starter, and the rest you can fill up with whatever non-engine you want: Crossout, Call Bias, Talents, Effect Veilers, Nibiru's, and so on. Infinite Impermanences, Ashes. So you can see we can play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and whatever you want to count these. I guess they could also be hand traps. So 15, basically 15 non-engine or 15 hand trap engine. Obviously this is also non-engine, but I don't really count that. So this is quite high, this is quite nice, and this deck still feels quite consistent. As I already said, this one makes it better. Having less of this makes it a bit worse. But yeah, this is Salamangreat. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that you are missing right here. Hopefully this guide helped out a lot. If it did, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell. This helps me out a lot. Have some fun with the deck. I think it's really nice. It has a really nice, unique playstyle with the field spell and reading stuff with itself. I think that's really funny. Not a single other deck did it as of this point. So it's a cool deck. I think you will have a lot of fun with this. Thanks for being here. I hope this helped, and we will see each other in the next one, guys.